Simon, you've had some time to reflect on Sunday's disappointing defeat at the Summer Bash, going down to the Batley Bulldogs, 20 points to 12. When you've looked back on that game, just where do you think it went wrong?
Yeah, plenty of time to dwell on it. Usually after a game, I think I'm pretty good at being neutral and getting it, not perfect, but getting it right after a game. I was as shocked, really, as everyone else after the game, and I probably got it wrong. I called out their effort a bit. I don't think their effort was bad, but I thought the mental application to get the job done was not good enough. And look, for 30 minutes, everything looked fine, didn't it? The team looked good, how we were playing looked good, and after that, just the sheer number of errors, individual errors across the board, and some out of character and very, well, Woodburn Hall, I don't want to make a thing of it because he's won us more than he's lost us or he's hindered us in, but he won't make them mistakes again. The number or the severity of the mistake, and you're the goalkeeper out in rugby league when you're the fullbacks. Obviously, it's a fair consequence when you do mess up. But yeah, the number of mistakes just meant we played the entire second 40, bar maybe 5-6 sets in our own half. And credit to Batley, they did exactly what we expected. They hung in there and they kept going. They didn't play anything flash, apart from the last play at game where they scored. Pretty much. They didn't really break us down. They scored off kicks and a scrum play, which we've seen them many a time now. They do happen. Now we can shift the scrum around the field. But yeah, still disappointed. It absolutely stings. I think the mad thing is, in this league this year, although you might feel bad now, you're probably 4 or 5 wins away from being right back where you probably wanted to be. But they're not easy to come by, so we've got to tidy some areas up. But I think the direction on field's got to be better. I think our spine players have got to take a bit more responsibility to make sure we're getting a plan off. And we'll be all right. We're not that far off, but we're actually a million miles away at the same time when you look at the outcomes, because obviously that's what we're all judged on. And we'll go to Toulouse this week, hopefully with a point to prove, and we'll be playing against a Toulouse team in a very difficult situation as well. They've lost on the road a bit. They've not been in the best form all year, but like most French teams in other sports, they put a real onus on their home game, so I won't expect anything different this week, and it'll be a really tough ask to go down there and get the points. But if we can do the things we were doing for 30 minutes against Batley and actually have a bit more game management for the rest of it and tidy up the errors, there's no reason why we can't go get them points.
You mentioned there asking more from your sparring players. We saw Tom Inman come in for Joe Keys, who's obviously out injured at the moment. Do you feel he handled that expectation well? Do you think he showed some signs that he can be a scrum half?
No, I don't.
Give you something to think about.
I don't think expectation. That's not something we put on him anyway. There might be expectation from people, but for 70 minutes against the world champions, Tom did a very good job, and for 30 minutes he did a very good job. So I think we got the selection right, but obviously as the game panned out, maybe a bit of Tom's inexperience in that position did show. But losing Cav so early, that's one sub down. We weren't in a rush to change it when I suppose was hoping that we'd get a grip of it and other people would step up. But when I say spine, I don't just mean Tom. There's Louis, Woody, Brandon. But within that, Kev Leroy, very experienced. Bob Fairbank, very experienced. Adam Tangata, very experienced. So the spine does have to step up because that's part of your role to manage games. But as a collective, we all need to take a little bit on.
Rugby league's a big game about momentum shifts. Obviously, we raced away to a 12-0 lead. We seem to completely have that momentum. Batley got that one score back off one of our errors, and then the momentum seemed to totally shift after half-time. Why do you think it was such a struggle to get back into that game? I think you've said something about rolling your sleeves up, and we didn't really do that. Would you agree that was?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the game, the start of the second half was terrible from us. Error. And Batley didn't do anything flash. Rolled their sleeves up, got forward, even though it didn't look particularly pretty, and kicked well. And we didn't offer enough. We didn't play to our strengths. Our strength is shape and movement, and instead we went 4 back 5 carries and then tried to set a kick, which isn't really us. So look, I think the momentum shift was just a simple fact we couldn't hold on to the ball, and when we made errors, Batley punished us. It's a tough game, but sometimes it is quite simple like that. We didn't do enough of what we're good at to give ourselves the best chance. I still felt with 10 minutes to go we could still take this, because with the quality we have in the team we could have come up with something, and we did get a couple of opportunities, but we bombed them, which was kind of typical of the day for us. But it is what it is. That's sport. If we knew we were going to win every week, turning up would be quite mundane, wouldn't it? And this is the roller coaster that sadistically anyone that's involved in it enjoys.
Still a long way to go, and obviously that getting back on the horse and getting back on the winning trail starts with a trip to Toulouse this weekend. What sort of issues and what sort of problems does it possess when having to deal with a trip like going to the south of France?
Prepped all right for it really in what you can control, but you know it's a short week, short turnaround in terms of time on feet, and especially at the minute when we have got some issues and decisions to make around how we do our halfbacks and how we play to make it not simple, because we play quite simple anyway, but you know really cut and dry, I suppose. As close to black and white as rugby league can be about how we want to do things. So that's not very helpful, but that is what it is. We can't control that. Yeah, the travel and stuff. It is what it is. It's always a trip to look forward to, I think. It's out of the ordinary in each of us pockets, get to spend a bit of time. So we'll look forward to it, but yeah, it's definitely different to the norm. And with the things, you know, the injuries we've got mounting at the minute, it's not ideal in terms of the numbers we've got to select from and all those little bits and bobs, but it is what it is. Everyone will go through it at some point throughout the year. We're just going through it now, and we have to go there and be tough, roll our sleeves up as we needed to do against Batley, and again, the quality in our team, there's no reason why we can't come over as well.
What's the boys' schedule like? Can you shine a bit of light on when you'll be flying over, what the trip will look like, when you're going to train in France, things of that nature?
Yeah, well, we normally train match day -2, so Friday's our last session before we play, so we're going to try and maintain that this week. We're going to get a bulk of our work done tonight, the Thursday, which means we travel tomorrow, have the day off tomorrow. It won't be a day off. The day is very long. It's set up for tiredness really that day, so we're just going to try and be a little bit smarter this time and do some things to keep us active, some mental preparation as opposed to the physical stuff, because physically the last couple of weeks have been pretty tough, and we've kept turning up in those areas. I think it's the mental bit that's really important for us, so I want to make sure we're as fresh as we can be come game day. But yeah, we leave the Shea tomorrow morning, day travelling, chill out a bit. The weather's up and down over there I think at the minute, and then game day is just about relaxing, killing time to a degree. It's not often we play an evening game, so a bit of time to kill. Yeah, then we get into Toulouse and we throw everything at that one.
You'll have obviously done your prep on Toulouse. We saw them go down to London Broncos at the Summer Bash. Obviously we lost out to Batley, but two teams off the back of a loss that'll be hurting and wanting to put things right. Where do their threats come from? What do they possess?
Well, the team's probably going to be a little bit different this week, looking at the squads. But they've got loads of quality players, haven't they? And for whatever reason, they just haven't been cracking it so far. But they've got a lot of threats. They're a big team, very, very big. Biscaro, Aquala, just to name a couple there, big lads. Greg Richards, experienced Super League and Championship player in amongst Harrison Hansen and Joe Breathitt and others. So they're a real mix of body shapes which are hard to handle, but they've got some pretty lively backs as well in Ruben Rennie and I don't want to say his name, the other centre, because I'll probably pronounce it terribly wrong, but some very, very good players that have played at a good level, whether it's in England or Australia for a long time, and a couple of really good halves in there as well. So yeah, they're a well-rounded team. They like to move the ball, but they're big, heavy bodies, and if we give them a way to field position like we did with Batley, it'll be a tough day for us. So we just have to, we'll focus on us. We always have a look and make sure we're prepared for what's coming, but yeah, we need to focus on nailing our game.
You briefly mentioned there the weather being up and down. It's looking like it could be rainstorms, but at the same time 80% humidity with 29-degree heat. So is ball control and ball retention the name of the game this week? When you mentioned that they've got a big set of forwards as well, it's looking after the ball. It's got to be the number one priority after last week as well.
Yeah, I think it is, obviously it plays a massive part every week, to be fair, but you're probably right. You know, a big team in those sort of slippy conditions, you have to just sort of tailor your game a little bit and shorten up some passes, careful near the sidelines. You know, we get dragged over in greasy weather. You know, be ready for them to target the ball when they're tackling you and whatnot as well. And it's obviously taking that extra second to make sure you play the ball properly. So there's little bits and bobs, but I think we have our way of playing, and despite a bit of rain and grease on the ball, I think we're good enough to get it done. But we do have to build the game. We can't expect to be throwing it around from minute one. We'll have to earn some fatigue in those big blocks in their team and hopefully get some advantage off the back of that.
Obviously we've been over to Toulouse before, but previously played at Blagnac. This time we're going to play at the Stade Ernest Wallon at the fantastic European rugby stadium over there. That's the kind of venue that every player wants to play at. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, it'd be good. Blagnac was alright. Rugby union field, quite big in goals. The exact same happens, just probably a better surface and a nicer, prettier surrounding. But it's an opportunity to play at a nice stadium. We there's a good mix of stadiums, shall we say, at Championship and Super League within British Rugby League. Traditional, that's what we call them, don't we? Traditional ones. So it's nice to go to a state-of-the-art one, I suppose. But either way, it's a pitch, and we're just going to play our game.
And finally, then, a word on the fans that will be making the trip over. There's several hundred Fats fans that are going to be joining us in France. I mean, they must be excited at the prospect of seeing what the boys can do on another continent.
Yeah, I think they've been really good this year. They're always good, to be fair, but in terms of, it's quite easy to support us when we're going well and winning every week. And when we've been a bit up and down, I don't think they've wavered so far. And it's great to hear that many are going over, and hopefully that weather does turn for them, because I know it costs a decent bit of money and it's a trek to get there, and we do appreciate that, and hopefully we can give them a performance to be proud of.